At dinner with her friends, she bragged while looking at me, "My loyalty has a price tag, and he couldn't afford it even if he tried." They all laughed. I just smiled. But weeks later, when she showed up begging for help, she froze at the door because someone else was already sitting beside me. The moment the words left her mouth, everything went silent in my head. Not the awkward silence that fills a room, but the quiet hum of a machine that has just been switched on. We were at one of those ridiculously overpriced restaurants, the kind with tasting menus and wine pairings that cost more than my first car. It was my girlfriend Jessica's birthday dinner. Her and her 3 best friends. I was just the guy paying the bill. Jessica was holding court as usual, a glass of champagne in one hand, gesturing dramatically with the other. Her friends, who were basically clones of her, were hanging on her every word. I was halfway through a piece of fish that tasted like nothing but cost a fortune when I heard her say it. She wasn't trying to be quiet. She wanted me to hear. She looked right at me, a smirk playing on her lips, and said to her friend, "My loyalty has a price tag, and he couldn't afford it even if he tried." Her friends erupted in laughter, that high-pitched fake cackle that means they're in on the joke. And the joke, I realized in that instant, was me. For the past year, I had been funding this lifestyle, the downtown condo, the leased luxury car, the designer clothes, the endless brunches. I run my own software development company. I do well, but I'm not an idiot with my money. I'm quiet about my success. I thought I was investing in a relationship, in a future with someone I cared about. She saw me as a walking ATM with insufficient funds. I didn't react. I didn't get angry. I didn't cause a scene. That's what she wanted. She wanted me to get defensive, to argue, to prove her wrong. She wanted drama to fuel her sense of importance. Instead, I just smiled. A calm, easy smile. I picked up my wine glass, raised it slightly in her direction as if toasting her clever remark, and took a sip. Her smirk faltered for a fraction of a second. My lack of reaction confused her. It was a move she hadn't calculated. The rest of the dinner was a blur. I was physically present, but my mind was elsewhere, running calculations, formulating a plan. I was a developer. I build systems, I find bugs, and I eliminate them. My relationship, I realized, was a system with a critical, terminal bug. It was time to decommission it. When the bill came, I paid it without a word. Over $1,000 for a meal, where I was the main course. On the car ride home, she was buzzing, high on the attention and the champagne. She tried to start a conversation about a trip to Monaco she wanted to take. I just nodded along, making non-committal sounds. She didn't notice. She was too wrapped up in her own world. When we got back to the condo, my condo, she went to get ready for bed. I went into my home office and closed the door. I didn't sleep that night. I opened my laptop and began methodically untangling my life from hers. It was like refactoring a messy piece of code. You have to be precise, careful, and remove every dependency until the bad code is completely isolated and can be deleted without crashing the whole system. She thought my loyalty was something to be bought. She was about to learn that my disloyalty was something she couldn't afford in her wildest dreams. She went to bed thinking she had all the power. She was about to find out what happens when a quiet man decides to get loud, not with his voice, but with his actions. The game wasn't about meeting her price tag anymore. It was about showing her the true cost of her betrayal. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since the dinner party where my ex-girlfriend Jessica announced to the world that I was a budget she couldn't afford. For those 2 weeks, she's been living in a state of blissful ignorance, and I've been the busiest I've ever been. Thanks for the support on my first post. A lot of you predicted what was coming and you were right. This isn't about emotion. This is about logistics. The day after that dinner, I started making calls. My first was to my lawyer. I explained the situation. Jessica was living in my condo, which I own outright. She was not on the lease or the deed. She was driving a car leased in my name. I was paying the bill on a high-limit credit card she used as her personal slush fund. My lawyer, a no-nonsense guy named Ben, laid out the process clearly. We drafted a formal eviction notice giving her 30 days to vacate the premises, as required by law. It was sent via a process server to the condo the very next day. Jessica was home when it was delivered. She called me, laughing. "Did you seriously have someone serve me with a paper?" Are you trying to be dramatic? This is hilarious. It's not a joke, Jessica, I said calmly. You have 30 days to find a new place to live. You're bluffing, she said, the laughter gone from her voice. You'd be lost without me. That's a risk I'm willing to take, I replied, and then I hung up. Next, I called the leasing company for her car. I informed them that I would be making no further payments on the vehicle and that they should arrange to recover it from the registered address. They were surprisingly efficient. They told me that once a payment is missed, the recovery process begins within days. Then, I called the credit card company. I reported the card she used as lost and had it canceled immediately. I had a new one with a new number sent to my office. The account was in my name, so it was a simple process. The river of free money had just dried up. For the first week, she didn't seem to notice. She thought I was just throwing a tantrum. She was still going out, posting on social media about her fabulous life, probably using the last of the cash she had. The first sign of trouble for her came 5 days in. I got a string of angry texts. Her card had been declined at some boutique while she was shopping with her friends. The public humiliation was the worst part for her. She demanded I call the bank and fix it. I didn't reply. 2 days after that, the tow truck showed up for the car. I was at work, but my building's security cameras caught the whole thing. She came running out of the building, screaming at the driver, who calmly showed her the paperwork and winched her precious convertible onto the flatbed. The texts that followed were frantic. She was threatening to sue me, to ruin me, to tell everyone. Well, I'm not sure what she was going to tell them. That I had stopped paying for her life of luxury? This is where my plan moved to the next level. Jessica's entire career, her entire identity, was built on being a social media influencer in the luxury lifestyle space. An image I had been bankrolling. Her main rival was another influencer named Madison. Madison had better content and a more authentic following, but she didn't have the budget for the kind of high-end travel and shopping that Jessica flaunted. I did my research. I found out who Madison's agent was. I reached out, not as a scorned ex-boyfriend, but as the owner of a successful, growing tech company looking for a new marketing strategy. I proposed a partnership. My company would provide a substantial marketing budget for a 6-month campaign. This budget would be used for sponsored travel, luxury product placements, and high production value content. The budget I proposed was, to the dollar, the exact amount I had been spending on Jessica's entire lifestyle for the past year. Madison's agent was, to put it mildly, ecstatic. They drew up a contract within 48 hours. I had only one condition. The campaign had to launch immediately, and it had to be big. While Jessica was stuck at the condo, her car gone, her money cut off, Madison's social media exploded. A surprise first-class trip to Paris. A partnership with a major designer brand that had previously worked with Jessica. A stay in a 5-star hotel suite. Every post was a dagger, showcasing the exact life Jessica had just lost. And every post was tagged with my company's name, #sponsored by my company. The best part? This wasn't just revenge. It was a brilliant business move. My company develops high-end organizational software for creative professionals. Madison's audience of aspiring entrepreneurs and design-savvy followers was my exact target demographic. Our website traffic tripled in the first week. We got more qualified leads in a few days than we had in the previous 6 months. I had turned my personal liability into a profitable asset. Meanwhile, Jessica was trapped. Her friends, the ones who had laughed at me, were suddenly distant. They were social climbers. Now that Jessica was falling, they didn't want to be dragged down with her. Her social media went quiet. No new posts, no stories. Her followers started asking questions. Then they started noticing Madison's new campaign, sponsored by the company owned by Jessica's boyfriend. The narrative began to write itself in the comments sections. Her 30-day notice is up next week. She's been sending me desperate emails now, full of apologies and promises to change. She says she loves me, that she made a terrible mistake. But she's not sorry for what she did. She's sorry for what she lost. She saw our relationship as a transaction, and she's just now realizing she was on the losing end of the deal. She has no idea that the someone else who got her budget isn't a new girlfriend. It's her direct competition. The final phase of my plan is about to unfold. She thinks she can still salvage this. She thinks she can appeal to my emotions. She's about to find out that I don't have any left, at least not for her. Final update. It's over. The 30-day eviction period ended yesterday. For the last week of it, Jessica was a ghost in the condo. I had been staying at a hotel to avoid her, but I knew she was there, stewing in the silence. The frantic texts and emails had slowed to a trickle, then stopped completely. It was the silence before the final, desperate move. It came last night. I was at the condo, overseeing a cleaning crew I'd hired to scrub the place clean of the last year. I was in my home office when the buzzer rang. I knew it was her. I let her come up. I wanted to see this through to the end. When I opened the door, she looked like a stranger. The glamorous influencer was gone. She was wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt, her hair was pulled back, and her face was pale and tear-streaked. She wasn't holding a designer handbag. She was holding a cardboard box with a few of her remaining possessions. The smirk was gone. In its place was a look of pure, unadulterated desperation. "Can I just talk to you for a minute?" she asked, her voice cracking. I didn't invite her in. I just leaned against the doorframe. "You have 1 minute." She started with the apologies. She was sorry. She was stupid. She was insecure. She said the things people say when they've run out of options. She told me she loved me, that the last year was the best of her life, and she'd thrown it all away because she was listening to the wrong people. "I'll do anything to make it right," she pleaded. "I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. I don't care about the money or the trips. I just want you back." I listened without interrupting. When she was finished, the silence stretched out. "Are you done?" I asked. She nodded, looking hopeful. "You're right about one thing," I said. "You don't care about me. You care about what I provided. You had a good thing, and you put a price tag on it. You thought you could trade up. That's not a mistake. That's a business decision. And it was a bad one." Tears started streaming down her face. "But I have nowhere to go. My friends won't even answer my calls. My parents, they don't have room for me. I'm broke." "That sounds like a problem," I said, my voice flat. "But it's not my problem. Not anymore." I started to close the door, but she put her hand out to stop me. "Please," she whispered. "Isn't there anyone who can help me? Anyone you could call?" And that's when the final piece fell into place. From behind me, a voice said, "Is everything okay, Mark?" Jessica froze. Her eyes went wide as she looked past me into the living room. Sitting on my couch, a laptop open, was a woman she recognized instantly. It was Madison, her rival. Madison wasn't there as a date. She was there for a work meeting. We were going over the analytics from the first month of our marketing campaign, which were, by the way, phenomenal. She was dressed in a sharp, business casual outfit, looking confident and successful. She was everything Jessica had tried to be. But she had done it with talent and hard work, not by being a parasite. The look on Jessica's face was something I will never forget. It was a horrifying cocktail of shock, humiliation, and finally, understanding. She wasn't just looking at her replacement. She was looking at the living embodiment of her failure. She saw the woman who was now living the life she'd thrown away, funded by the money she thought was hers, and doing it better and more profitably than she ever could. She saw that I hadn't replaced her with another girlfriend. I had replaced her with a valuable business asset. I had literally upgraded. She didn't say another word. She just stared at Madison, then back at me. The hope in her eyes died, replaced by a cold, hard emptiness. She finally understood. This was never about love or jealousy. It was a transaction. She had set the terms with her price tag comment, and I had simply closed the deal on my own terms. She slowly backed away from the door, turned, and walked down the hallway without looking back. I closed the door and locked it. I walked back into the living room. Madison looked at me, a question in her eyes. "Ex-girlfriend," I said. She just nodded, a small professional smile on her face. "Well, the new engagement numbers on the Paris campaign are in. I think you're going to be very happy." And she was right. I was. My business was thriving. My life was my own again. The bug had been removed from the system. I don't know where Jessica went, and I don't care to find out. She wanted a life she could afford. Now she has one.